Drinking with Authors may contain adult content. Listener discretion is advised.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to today's episode of Drinking with Authors. And as always, it's sponsored by Four Horsemen Publications. So check them out on their website at fourhorsemenpublications.com. Lots of cool books there. I am your host, as always, Nick Savage, author of many books myself, but we're not here to talk about that. We are here today with Kiddada Grey, author of Red Flag, Exposing the Manosphere and Protecting Your Heart. Sometimes speech comes to me a little hard. She's going to talk about all of that, but before we do, I am drinking a shot of Jameson Castmates besides my rum and coke. What are you drinking today, Kiddada?
Well, hello, everyone. So forgive me. Don't talk about me if you think I'm cheap, but I'm having a moment, right?
Oh.
So I love flavored wines. So, and I'm in Georgia and we have really great flavored wines. And I am drinking Pacific Fruit Vineyards sweet blueberry wine. So that is what I am drinking today. And of course, I bought it from Aldi's, and Aldi's has a great selection. If you don't have an Aldi's near you, or if your Aldi's doesn't sell adult beverages, I'm sorry, but but over here we sell a lot, and they have everything from peach, strawberry, watermelon. The watermelon wine is fantastic by Pacific Fruit Vineyards, and that is what I am drinking right now, sweet blueberry, putting my antioxidants in.
So don't run out of those accidents. Cheers to you.
Cheers to you.
And thank you so much for not only being here today, but for the explanation on that, and a shout out to Aldi, because I love Aldi. I think it is a highly underappreciated shopping experience.
Yes, I agree.
Yeah. So tell us, because we were chatting a little bit before we came on the recording, and I'm excited to hear about this book more. Red Flag, Exposing the Manosphere. Tell me about it. Tell me everything about this.
So this is a book kind of labor of love, because I'm also in the coaching space, right? And the one space I've always said I would stay out of in coaching is relationship coaching. And somehow I landed with writing this book because I had been popped into a Facebook group full of men. I was one of the few women in there, and it was shared with me to say, Kiddada, you will never understand what men are saying about women. And I was like, there's no way, like, men are talking bad about women. And yes, and lo and behold, I found myself in the manosphere 2 years ago, and I still haven't forgiven that person yet for dropping me in that group. But it was an eye-opening experience. And then watching all of the reels and everything about the trad wife culture, which is a part of the manosphere. Red Pillars, Kevin Samuels, all of these different names that have popped up over the years, the passport bros over the years that, I always say the loudest voice is catching our attention. And so these voices are catching our attention. However, it's almost like a joke-ish. And people are like, oh, no, that's not real. That's not real. That's not real. And you go, no, but it is real. And women are not paying attention. I don't know why women aren't paying attention. No, I do. I kind of know. Women have this really horrible thing about them that they feel like some women feel like they can change a man. They love a good project. These are not project men. Okay. Manosphere men really dislike women. They hate women. They think that, oh, wait, go ahead. Do you have a question?
No. There's a theory on that, on why they hate women so much. And I have my theories, being, living a male experience, being a man myself. But I have a theory why, because if you look at some of the biggest manosphere names right now, like
Andrew Tate.
Thank you. I was like the bald Tate guy. Yeah, Andrew Tate.
Yep.
And all these guys who are high up there who are like, I'm so depressed and I'm so lonely. And then they're sitting there going, but having sex with a woman is gay. What
Right.
maybe they just need to admit that, because they even say that men are more attractive than women. In my mind, just be gay. There's nothing wrong with it. Just be.
Listen, Nick, you have struck upon something that's not spoken about, right? And this might be part 2 to my book, because there was a research study that just came out, I think it was last week, that said that most men, and please forgive me, dear readers, I'm going to say that because you're authors, because you love authors, that you are probably a little bit more attuned to research and so forth. I'm going to make that huge assumption because a lot of people are not. And so this research study came out and said that men who are a part of the manosphere and utilize these language patterns that they use, that they actually prefer to be in the company of men, which there's nothing wrong with that. I feel like if you want to be in the company of men, do it happily. However, I don't want you attacking women in the next breath. Right. So that is one of the challenges. And that's one of the reasons why I wrote this text, because whether it's the male loneliness epidemic, which is real, whether it's this idea of American men, and then it's kind of spread across the world, of visiting other countries, especially third world countries, to find a less aggressive, dominant type of woman. They want a submissive woman. Those are the passport bros. There's Kevin Samuels, who's now passed away a few years back, who would look at women and how they dress and attack them and discuss and tell them that they weren't worthy of a high value man. All of these things women are coming up against, and women don't understand what the language means, what their expectations are, and how they should be reacting when they come across a man that's talking about these kind of things.
Now you have opened up something in me that I need to tell you about, because it'll lead somewhere. I was never that guy, but I had issues before I met my wife, and I had big trust issues. Now, I didn't trust anyone because I never trusted myself. And before I met my wife, all my ex-girlfriends, anytime they went out, I was that guy blowing up their phone 30 times. And I did not like that part of myself, but I couldn't control it. I didn't understand what was going on. And to me, it was the only thing to do. And my wife went out once with a friend, and I did that. And this is early on when we were dating. We weren't engaged, we weren't married. She said to me, "You either trust me or you don't. And if you ever do that again, we're through." And it was different. I had never heard that before. Every time before, it was always "No, baby, I'm not doing anything wrong." And it never sounded. Now, I'm not saying the way she reacted has to be how everyone reacts, because everyone's different. But something in the way she said that was like, and done. And that part of me just switched off. And I was like, I either trust her or I don't. And she had never given me a reason not to. I had made up reasons not to. And so my question for you, that story, that anecdote, because everyone's different, and life isn't a summation of our experiences. But that kind of anecdote aside, do you think that some men or some people, because I'm sure there are women who do it to their partners, do you think the people that are like that manosphere people do so because they don't lack the skills or the experience to then have the skills to be a better person?
Wait, do I have to pour some more wine?
Yes, we do.
I looked at the bottle. I looked at the bottle and I was like, well, how much time do we have today, Nick?
No, we got time. Yeah.
We got time. So here's the thing.
Recording is not for like.
There is, your example was fantastic, because it looked at the inward self. It looked at the external self in relationship to other people, right? Male or female. And when it comes to women, a lot of men, we have to tell the truth, are a little bit awkward, because women kind of hold the power in regards to, do I want to date you? Do I want to give you my time? Do I want to spend time with you? And that can be very much so problematic and challenging for a man who has not learned the skills of, like, don't take stuff personally, right?
Yeah.
Like, if she says no, don't take it personally. Go on to the next woman. There's billions of women on planet Earth, right? And so there is a lot of low self-esteem. There is the opportunity to say that, yes, they don't have the skills. And it's not really a lot of skills, right? It's literally you're dealing with person to person, human to human. Hi, hello works. Hi, hello. Here's the problematic part, though, and it comes with a lack of maturity. And I'm sure someone's going to write in and go, I can't believe she said that. But here's what it is. It's a lack of maturity. So when we are hurt in a relationship, that very first time, how we decipher that pain, whatever happened in that relationship, will stay with us and will move forward with us in every relationship forward. And for some men, they get stuck in that one moment with that one woman, and they don't understand it's not all women. And just to be fair, women have the same issues too, right? Like, we get stuck there and then we move forward. However, you don't see a lot of women coming up with a woman's fear. They're not out here attacking men and saying that, I got to go to different countries to find men. And there are women who do that. But the manosphere takes it to a different level. Like, they scale differently. And you have men like Andrew Tate, who I hope does at some point in time. There's like 8 countries that have charges against him.
Yeah.
I hope somebody, dear God, can this man be kept in jail? So you have a lot of men with low self-esteem that are searching for answers, that don't know where to turn to, who to turn to. And so they grasp onto the very first voice that reflects their pain, but does not give them solutions. And so what you don't know, Nick, is that my background is in conflict resolution.
No, so I actually did know that. I did know that.
Oh,
I did know that.
Well,
I do
perfect.
My research.
So, yeah, you did. So here we are. What they are missing is that they're just getting filled more and more with conflict and more pain. There's never a resolution, never. No. And let me just say this: if the resolution is, well, put out into the world that a woman does not have the right to tell you no with your sexual advances, that's just another conflict, because you're pushing yourself towards jail, right? You know what I mean? And so there's this, men need safe spaces. And I'm a huge fan for men to need safe spaces for them to sit down and talk. But what I'm seeing is that a lot of men,
There's a problem with that, but I think you're going to where I'm about to.
Yeah, I'm going with that because I don't believe that men have the skills. See, from little girls on, when we're little, when women are little, we start understanding how to interact with other girls, right? We have these conversations. We're laying our emotions on the line. We're talking about relationships and so forth. Men don't really do that as in depth as they should. And if they are, they're hearing stories from men who a lot of times they're lying what they're saying. They're lying, they're telling lies. I hate to tell you all, men, but that's what is occurring. A lot of men lie to each other because they want to get that bravado and ego, and they want to look a particular way, and it's causing more problems. And that's not to say your hurt is not valid, but you can't get stuck there. You can't get stuck there. That one woman is not all women. Not all women lie. Not all women cheat. Not all women will leave you. Not all women want you for your money, and then there's the reflection portion of it, where you have to say to yourself, how, as a man, how am I showing up to women?
Yeah.
And it's just not enough to show up as the person male, right? But how are you presenting yourself? If you show up flashy and then you're complaining that women want you for your money, don't show up flashy. and I'm not saying don't hide your money, just don't show up flashy, because then you're signaling to a woman, a certain type of woman, that you are leading with money. But there's not this idea of discernment that's occurring inside of the manosphere.
I think there's a lot to unpack there, and I think a lot of it comes down to people lack a lot of critical thinking skills, whether you want to blame the educational system, parenting, a little bit of both, some third option, whatever. A lot of people lack critical thinking skills. So when men who are very much taught from a young age that Fight Club, which is approaching its 30-year anniversary as a movie,
Oh, wow.
in 1998, so 2028 will be its 30th year.
Yeah.
When Fight Club as that mentality, which I think a lot of men missed, because I know back in the day, I missed it. You know what I'm saying? I was like, we need to get our aggression out. Yeah, that's what it is. And that's not what it was about. Everybody who that movie applied to back in the day missed the fucking point. Excuse my language. They missed the point. And so instead of understanding the point, because they were like, oh, now we're getting our aggression out. Now we're able to get out this stuff that's been building up inside of us, which was not the point of the movie. The point of the movie was to talk about things. But Talk Club is not as fun a title as Fight Club.
Go sit in a circle.
Yeah, circle chat.
And listen, I have a restorative justice background, so I believe in talking circles. I actually do. I do believe in talking circles because we need them.
Yeah.
Yes, they are very good.
But for entertainment purposes of mass entertainment, it's definitely not the action movie that Fight Club is.
Yeah.
But the book itself is phenomenal too. Don't skimp on the book. Go read the book. But men watch that. Men did that, and then they get together, and they want to seem tough. And correct me if I'm wrong here, and expand on this. When men get together and they don't have the intellectual capacity for whatever reason, I'm not saying it's a bad thing.
Yeah.
To talk about their feelings or to talk about their past experiences in a way that moves past them. Because as we find out, women are coming out more and more with their sexual assault experiences.
Yes.
Men are slowly catching up on coming out with, well, I've been assaulted too. I've been assaulted too. Been there, done that. Not believed. I understand why women don't come out. No one believes them. So the issue becomes we don't talk about that, and we turn to fun. Now, my experience with that is I don't like getting hit because getting hit hurts. So I learned to resolve conflicts using words because getting hit hurts. Do you think that men who are in this manosphere, it's not all men, some men in this manosphere have those past experiences that they're still not ready to talk about, and therefore are still putting up the front of I'm big and tough when really they just need a shoulder to cry on?
Oh, yes. I mean, I think that's the foundation of it all. That is literally the concrete of the situation. And it's now the challenge of how do you, as a woman, not get hit with the chunks of concrete when they start to get, when it's starting to get demolished. Because men are, there's that saying that a lot of people say, that a lot of men I hear too say, that they have no emotions.
Yes.
Men are, in some ways, I feel like men have emotional experiences more than women, because women have dealt with their emotions since they were little girls. We know what it means to cry. We know what that journey feels like through our emotional maturity, our emotional practices, right? Like, hell, sometimes I just need to cry just because it feels good. I got to get my frustrations out. And we don't give the same opportunity for men because that shame and guilt associated with it. We tell little boys to suck it up. So that's what we do to men. And then so all of these hurt feelings that they have, whether it's the hurt feelings, whether it's the broken trust, whatever those feelings are, they're encapsulated inside of one's body, and then they come out in negative phrases, negative talk against the other sex. And a lot of men who don't know what it is that they're feeling, all they're doing is adopting someone else's rhetoric.
Yeah.
Oh, Andrew Tate sounds really good. I am confused why it is that 19-year-old boys are talking about they want a trad wife. I don't know where they're getting that from. Like that is absolutely wild to me, because I have a 21-year-old and his mother, for a certain portion, no, it was never really a trad wife, right? Even though I was a stay-at-home mom, I volunteered a lot. I think I volunteered more than I was at home. So this leave it to beaver concept that they're searching for at 19 years old, I'm like, where did you get that from?
Where did you get this literally idea from shows like Leave It to Beaver, and because these kids have never grown up in a stable world. These are all post 9/11 kids who, a lot of them in their formative years, you know what I'm saying, were all during recessions and war and stuff like that. So they hear the older generations, because we're all taught to to listen to our elders and respect the elders.
Yeah.
So they hear these elders, and I'm talking older than me, I'm 46, but they hear these elders talking about how back in the 50s and 60s, we only had a man work and the woman stayed home. And they don't talk about the factors as to why that was possible back then. All they talk about is how easy life was back then for them, not how weird and uncomfortable it was for the wife and for the women and for people of color and for anyone not white and male. They talk about how easy it was for them. So now these 19-year-olds are going, maybe that's the way it should be, because they lack the critical thinking skills to understand the extensiveness and the variables within it. And correct me if I'm wrong, but if you lack the understanding to understand how it worked or why it worked back then for that one person and not for anyone else, it'll look attractive to you.
Oh, most definitely. I 100% agree. I totally believe, and viewers, listeners out there in the future, sit your grandmother down. If your great grandmother is still alive, ask her about her life, ask her about her dreams, ask her what she wanted to be, ask her what she could not do because of the time frame in which she lived. Because that romanticized notion that, oh, everyone was happy, and people don't understand, you can create happiness. Let's be clear about that. If you are inside of a situation, you can be unhappy or you can find a way to be happy. And shout out to all of these women that leaned into happiness, creating whatever it was that they created to define happiness for themselves, because we forget, and I do blame our elder women for not telling the truth, really laying it out here. Like, they could not work.
No.
If they want, it was not socially acceptable for a lot of them to work, especially if they were middle class, upper middle class, because truth be told, in the dawn of time and dawn of history, women have always worked, always, because poor women always had to work. So there's always been a sector of women that have worked, but we have these elder sisters, as I call them, that have kept the secrets about how hard life really was for them. But they painted this really good mask of happiness on when they weren't happy.
Yeah.
And what we're seeing now, because what is the challenge currently for a lot of men, is that women are outpacing men. Educationally wise, women are more highly educated. They're getting their college degrees. Men are choosing not to go to college. Women are making six-figure incomes more than men. I mean, and even $90,000, $100,000. So traditionalism, where it was just seen as the purpose of a man was to provide, and women had nothing, right? You married for upward mobility. Then, well, what is it that you're doing? What can men do now? Because if the women that you're encountering have more than you, they've already bought a house, they have their own car, they have their degrees, they're going to work, they're vacationing on their own, and they don't need your money. Men don't understand their value. And it is a shame that westernized culture has really defined men as only being providers. They've never given men any other label than just to provide. And women are going, wait a minute, I can provide for myself. So when you run up against a man who's in the manosphere, right? Men now are saying things to try to downgrade women. So if I can't attack you on all of your successes, I'm going to do things, and I'm going to say one of my favorite phrases that men in the manosphere say is that, oh, well, that woman has hit her wall. And you're like, what does that mean? Well, oh yeah, a woman hits her wall. Let's go to the manosphere dictionary. What that means is that when a woman hits 30, she has no more value. She's no longer pretty.
Whoa, so at 30, whoa. Okay, no.
It's in the book. This is what I do for women, is that I take the phrases and I go, I want you to understand what these phrases mean. So when they say a woman has hit the wall, she is hit 30. And she has no value.
I am not disagreeing that is the definition. I am disagreeing 100% with that phrase, because I think people in general get more beautiful as they age. And I think it was Kate Winslet who, Titanic and actress, she's against the plastic surgery and everything. Like she wanted to age gracefully. She wasn't treated with aging. And I've always appreciated that about her, because even when I was in my 20s and teens, I was always like older, like older women, this and that, and blah, blah, blah. And I think that beauty is more than just the external. And when you're in your 20s, you're dumb as shit. And I'm not saying just because you're in your 20s, you're dumb as shit. You lack the life experience to be wise and to talk about things. And you may have experienced certain things in your 20s that other people in their 20s have not. But in your 20 years or your 25 years, you have not experienced what it's like to be in your 30s or in your 40s, and the experience and the knowledge that comes with age. You can't. And to say that someone hit their wall because they're 30 is the dumbest thing I've ever heard, to try and get guys to go, I agree with that. I am sorry.
Nick, but you brought up another part of the manosphere, right? So there's a reason why. Okay, so I'm going to shock you again. So women's so
I love in the you. You are wonderful.
A woman's highest value is between the ages of 18 to, and I'm stretching it here, to 25. And I think it's really more like 22. Do you know the reason why?
Peak childbearing years?
Well, that is true.
Okay, I'm just taking a wild guess.
That is actually one, but that's lower down on the scale. That's lower down on the scale. So the reason is because between 18 and I'm going to say 25-ish, right?
Yeah.
Men find value in those type of women, young women, because they have no life experience. They haven't gone to college, and they want to be able to shape that woman, because I, as the man, can be everything to her. I can teach her everything. All that she knows is going to come from me, because if she learns about, and like, as you said, have life experiences, right? She's going to understand when I'm hustling her, when I'm lying to her, when my behavior's creepy or it's against the law, or she's going to now be smart enough, right? Because now she's gone off to college, because an 18-year-old girl, why is a 30-something-year-old man dating an 18-year-old girl? Because she has not, she just came out of high school. Yeah. She just got her degree. She knows absolutely nothing. And there's value to that. It's all about
control. It's all about control.
It's about power and control.
Which
you're correct.
And I am not saying, well, it's about power and control, because I'm not like excusing it with the statement. It's about power and control because these guys have no self-esteem to understand that they have more to offer than just money. And if they don't have more to offer than money, then that's a whole other issue. But you said earlier that The manosphere is because men are brought up to believe that they are only as valuable as what they can offer in terms of material things.
Mm-hmm.
You didn't say material things, but it boiled down to money.
It's
and
provider. They were providers.
Yeah. But here's what they're missing. And here's the joy of things, because I am not rich. I have a house over my head, and everything I have is due to no small part of luck and timing. But the joyous thing of women becoming providers for themselves and becoming more independent is that you can find a woman, guys out here, listen to me, males, men, because they like to say females. They like to say females and ladies, so I'm going to say males, men. Listen to me. The joyous thing about women who can provide for themselves is you don't have to provide for them, which means they're with you. And this took me, I've been almost married 13 years now, 13 years, whatever. I've been married long enough. I can't remember anymore. Neither can she. It's okay. It's taken me this long to understand this. When you don't have to provide for them because they can provide for themselves, they're with you because they want to be with you, not because they have to be with you. And that difference, that small little difference, makes the relationship infinitely better. Infinitely better. So guys, who cares what material things you can bring to the relationship? When they're with you because they want to be with you, it's worlds apart. And had I understood that back in college, that relationship still wouldn't have lasted, but it wouldn't have been as bad as it was. And
perfect point, right? Here's the thing though, that a lot of men don't know who they are. So when you don't know who you are, you don't know what to offer. So then the only thing I can do is be controlling and just kind of pitter my way through life. So here's the thing. All relationships aren't about what you can give to me, right? Outside, it's not a monetary transaction all the time. If we are to sit in 2026, if we look at the economy, we definitely need, if you were married, you need two people to work, okay? Because a $70,000 income, you cannot afford rent in this country on $70,000, which is, and it's between $50,000 and $70,000 that's what men are making. When I tell you average, on average salary, and since there's more men that lack a college education, so that means that they're making this on a high school degree, which is really great. It's great money, except for in 2026 when tariffs, inflation is exceptionally high, food, groceries high. You need a woman's income. Right? Your mate has to work. And so now we talk about, because then we always hear, oh, a man has to lead. Oh, and you're going, okay, wait a minute. What is that? What? And listen, I date, I've been married, right? I've been married, I've dated, all the things, right? So I'm a person. This is Kiddada Asmara Grey speaking. This is Kiddada. If you hit me up and you want to date me, listen, I'm telling you what this is right now. I believe in everyone leaning into their gifts, right? If I'm dating Nick and Nick is really good at the finances, I'm going to let Nick deal with the finances. Because if I suck at the finances, you deal with the finances, right? If I'm really good at the event planning and whatever else, then let me do it, because I don't want Nick to do it, because it's going to get on my nerves and it's going to cause arguments. So when you lean into each other's gifts and there's not a battle about who makes more money than who, because that's part of the manosphere. Don't date a woman that makes more money than you. Don't date a woman who has her own home. And if you do, you have to force her to sell her own home to go live in an apartment with you until you can afford to buy her home, or you're going to take the money she has earned from the sale of her home, claim it as your own, and then buy a home. I like logic.
Yeah, no.
It does. So when power and control, because if that's all you know how to do and that's all you know how to be, you can't recognize when a woman has looked at you and said, oh my gosh, I love all of his attributes. He's a trusting person. He keeps his word. those are the things that women like, right?
Yeah.
And so in the book, I have to say to women, if you hear a man say that you've hit your wall, or that he thinks a woman is it, first of all, I need you to ask them what that means. Because women don't ask questions. Women need to learn how to ask clarifying questions. So in my book, I give clarifying questions. What does that mean? And not be afraid to question, because there are some women who've been taught to be afraid to question a man. Till in 2026, still till this day. So I need you to know what that means. So if he tells you what it means, okay. But and if he says, well, a woman has no value after 30, here you should go red flag, and I'm running the other way, because you're not changing that. Now, here's what's more interesting to me. There, and I called them and use a phrase that was back in like 2023. We had the basic chick conversation. That term was out there. So you have these basic chicks out here who are siding with men. So you have these young girls, because I was 21 and 22 at some point in time in my life, and they're like, yep, a woman has no value after the age of 30. And you go, you want to say, like, little girl, you know you're going to be 31 at some point in time, right? Like you're not going to have any value. What do you do then? And so those type of women are what, those are the ones that I'm like, they are in the line. They will knock you down. They will knock another woman down to get inside of the male gaze, because they want a man that badly, right? So that they discount even themselves in knowing that, okay, in X number of years, I'm going to age out. And they attack other women. There's so many women on TikTok, young women, that are attacking women above 30, and specifically above 40 and beyond in my age. They're attacking us as if we're the problem. Like, oh no, you guys can't wear that outfit, or you shouldn't wear that type of makeup, or you shouldn't do that. All because they hear the men that are inside of the manosphere and they see us as competition. Now, Nick, I'm going to tell you something that will even blow your mind a little further.
Tell me, bring it on.
Men in the manosphere, even though they want women that they can control, because they want a submissive woman, they want, or my favorite, they want a woman with a low body count, which we can talk about in a minute. They want an uneducated woman. And not to say, I mean, K-12 education world is basic education. Okay. I just want to say that if you didn't realize, that's basic education. They will come searching for a woman like me that's overeducated by their own terminology, because an overeducated woman is a woman like me, because I have 4 degrees. I have 4 degrees too many for a lot of these men. But they will, I've been married, I've been divorced, because they don't want a divorced woman. I have children. They don't want women with children, but they will be in my inbox trying to date me. No. Do you know the reason why? This is strictly male behavior. So I need you to dig deep in your maleness and figure out, what is it about male behavior that would do why would you go after a woman that is counter to what you believe in?
Oh, if I'm thinking like a manosphere, bro, because hold on, and I'm saying this in a way that can't be used as a sound clip by someone third party. A manosphere bro would come at you, even knowing all these things about you that are against their beliefs, but still come at you because to their mind, you don't have the esteem to be independent, and they could tear you down and control you. That's what I'm thinking.
A little bit. Oh, you did a good job with that. You did a good job with that. So I agree. I'm trying to think. To a point. The goal is to see if they can break that woman. And go, oh, I can just break her down, and she'll just date me, and then I can change her into the submissive type woman. But here's the thing, I know too much. See, here's the thing. They don't want an educated woman because women know too much. At that point in time, I know too much. I've seen the world. I've traveled. I've done some things, hell. And what these men in the manosphere don't know is that it's usually the fathers. If there's a mom and dad present in a relationship, it's usually it's a woman's father that's like, go get your education. Go to college.
Yeah.
And they miss that. It's another man leading this woman in a way for her own health, her financial health, her emotional health, and her intellectual health.
How much of that do you think, and I'm not trying to get too far off topic, so I apologize, but how much of that do you think is men being brought up in an overly or moderately religious household? And nothing against religion, that's a different topic. But you don't question religion. You're told this is the way it is because this is in whatever religious book, and you're not allowed to question it. So then the parents are like, go to college and get an education. Don't question me, just do it. And had they been able to question them to understand that the dad is telling the daughter to get the education because she can be independent and avoid these type of men and be on her own and not have to be submissive, would open up a whole new world of thinking for them.
So faith plays a huge role in this. And when I say faith, I just mean the body of religion, not your belief in something that can happen without question. I want to be clear about that, right? So just the body of religion. So we're just going to stick with Christianity because a lot of Christian churches teach that a man is supposed to be the leader and women are supposed to be submissive. And imagine if you are a young person, because you hear that, you see it in church, because in some of those churches too, you see women aren't in any of the leadership positions in the churches. So that is hammered into the psyche of men and women, these young people. And then they come out into the world and then they start meeting other people who haven't gone to church, right? And you're like, or they meet different people of faith who interpret the Bible or the Quran or whatever differently, right? Like, so it is a problem if you don't do your own study. And if you give me a minute, I'll give you an example. When it talks about in the Bible about men leading, okay, they do not, because my second degree is from a Christian college. And so the church never teaches from a historical perspective. And you sound like a linguist. You sound like you love words. You said you study a lot of languages. So what is said in the Hebrew is not directly translated correctly into what we know now as the Bible. And if you don't know, people, the Bible is written at the collegiate level, the college level. Okay, so all the thy and thous and thou shalt not and whatever, that's way up here, right? To get those concepts. So for instance, when in the Bible, it says that a man should love his wife like he loves the church. Well, if you go back to the Hebrew, and actually the word church is actually not what's done in Hebrew. The word actually is his ball sack.
Well, that's one and the same for some guys.
Well, but here's the thing. If a man is supposed to treat his wife at the same level he treats his anatomy, right? Women would probably be treated very differently.
Very differently.
Very differently. But the church does not teach it like that. They teach it with current language. They don't take the historical perspective of the language to understand the original terminology. But that plays a part because then what is said in church is weaponized against women.
Yes.
And that's part of the problem, because I mentioned earlier, there's some women that have a hard time asking a man questions. They don't want to ask the clarifying questions. And so I love the story about you and your wife, right? Because I have a feeling the reason that you went, wait a minute, what did I just do? is because she felt empowered and strong enough to say, cut that shit out.
Oh, 100%.
Yeah.
And what it boils down to is instead of making, like trying to like soothe my ego, she was
Right.
she's like, and I'm not saying she didn't care about me at the time. We had been dating
Yeah.
not long enough to like make it matter, but long enough that you still, want to be with them. And she was just like, you're being a fucking idiot. You know what I'm saying? Just stop. And she didn't care about my ego at that point. She was like, let's break it down. And it was one of the coolest things to happen to me. And I understand that that's an odd way of phrasing it, but it was such a moment of enlightenment that I will always talk about that moment, because it was a life-changing moment that to her was just her telling a guy to shut the fuck up. And for the guy, for me, it was very much a light switch, one of those Oprah aha moments. Aha.
Right.
And it was absolutely wonderful. But men aren't allowed to question other men. They're allowed to question women. So when a woman does it on that same level, and may I bring up something real quick?
Yeah, please.
There's a lady on Facebook, and I don't know her name, but she's known as Canada's dating coach. And have you seen her videos? She has a debate topic, and it's always body count doesn't matter. And she wants men to come at her.
I was watching her earlier today.
She wants men to come at her with a peer-reviewed study, the page number, the name of the study, and it's wonderful because it's a fact over feelings debate. She doesn't want things to start with I think or I feel. And every man comes at her with, well, I think, or in my opinion, or I feel. And she's like, no, wrong. And I was entranced with her. And my wife's like listening, and she's like, do you know why you like her? And I'm like, no, but she's great. And she's like, because she speaks to men the way men speak to women. And it hit me.
That's right.
And this was years later than, obviously years later than, that aha moment but it's true. This Canada's dating coach speaks to men the way men speak to women. And I'm like, this lady is a fucking genius, because she's like, goodbye, bye, loser, bye this, bye that, because she does it tongue in cheek, not in like a joking tongue in cheek way, but like she clearly doesn't talk to her husband that way because her husband respects her and she respects her husband. But the men who come at her who don't speak to her with that level of respect, she in turn then speaks to them with their level of respect. But here's the thing, the men don't realize they're not speaking to her with the same level of respect, because they're like, this is how you talk to women. No, if you talk to women differently than you talk to men, then you hold women and men to different standards, which means you think of women as less human than you think of men. And if you think of women as less human, why would you want to be with them? Go be with the men that you're so attracted to.
Oh, Nick, I love you so very much.
I love you. You are so wonderful.
I love you very much.
I am saying this on air. You need to come down to Orlando, and me, you, and the wife are going to go out for some drinks, and we'll.
Yes, I love that.
You're not married, so you don't have a husband, but bring. we'll have, in Florida, you have to be very weird. When we first moved down here, everybody is like, "Are you guys swingers?" Not realizing where we live is like this. It's the swinger capital of the world down here, or some bullshit like that.
In Orlando?
It's very strange. I don't know. Maybe we just give off those vibes. But everybody was asking. We are not. Nothing.
I didn't know that.
Nothing wrong with that if you are, just not our cup of tea. But
I love it. But I thought here I come down there for Disney and Disney Springs, and I didn't know that there was more to it. In Orlando. I love it.
It's a whole fucking thing. And here's the thing is I'm checking my calendar to find out when my next recording session is today, because we are not done. We are so not done. We're not done. Oh, I got time. Okay.
Can I say this?
Yes.
This is, and I should have put this disclaimer out there, because not that I don't want to be disingenuous.
No. Say whatever.
I feel like men and women need to read this book of all ages.
Yes.
And men need to read this book, and I'm sure some of them are going to be really upset. That's fine. My whole life's work is to trigger your brain to start thinking.
Yes.
There's going to be some men that, and I encounter a lot of men like this who are like, this cannot be real. I don't know any men like this. And I'm like, but you do. You're just not paying attention.
Yes.
Third, for men, if you have daughters, nieces, aunties who are in the dating space or whatever, you need to be able to arm them with these tools that I write in this book. So then now I have women, right? So this book was not written from the space of male hate. It wasn't. It was really and truly to inform women and give them the opportunity to decipher what's happening in this new dating world. This is no longer the dating of courtship or parents are setting us up with so-and-so for us to marry in 10 days. We don't do that anymore, right? But this book is really and truly a book of discovery, an eye-opening, like, wait a minute, what did I just hear? And to give women tools on their self-value, their self-worth, and empower them to make the right choices. And inside of the book, I also utilize it as a kind of like a journal. I have quizzes in here. I have journals in here because in my mind, I'm a teacher. So I want to know that if you read what you read, I need to know that you understand it, right? You have your own conversation. Because one of the things that I land on the very end of the book is, what type of relationship do you want? What are the value systems that you want from other men, if that's who you're seeking, right? In any type of relationship, be discerning about who you date. I'm not even a big fan. You know what, Nick? I'm going to tell you a secret. I don't even believe that men and women should have first dates anymore at restaurants.
At restaurant. Okay.
I feel like, you know how, it used to be like we go out on a date and we sit and we talk about each other and we learn about each other and all that kind of fun, jazzy stuff. It no longer works. Here's why it no longer works. Because now, currently in the season of 2026 and before, men are like, well, if I spend $100 on the date, then that means you must go home with me and sleep with me. So if before they may have kept that to themselves, but now they're like, really, I only spent $50 on you. So no, that means you've got to sleep with me. So that takes that away. 2, it's a safety issue, because when you tell a man no, sometimes they get really angry. So you're unsafe. In a restaurant, you don't know what to do. If he picked you up, you don't know what to do. I'm a big proponent of vet people on the phone as much as possible before you get to the date, because I personally don't want to sit across from you and realize you were a whole bastard while I've got to sit through a couple more meals, right? And I'm a, I'm going to give you a good example. I'm a politically active chick. I am very much in tune to politics. I work as a political consultant. It's one of my 1,200 jobs that I have. And I ask men 2 questions. 1, do you vote? And 2, do you believe in abortion? If you say no to either one of those, guess what? Our conversation's over with.
Yeah.
That's it. Because there's nothing, because it doesn't align with my value system. I'm not the type of woman that's going to go, well, we can make it. You can't.
No.
You cannot make it work.
Me and my wife had a very interesting first date, very trashy. It was great. But at the end of it, we ended up at one of those 24-hour like Greek diner places, where you go when you're drunk at like 2:30 in the morning. And And I sat down. We were at a fucking restaurant. We were sitting in the booth talking to each other, and I looked at her and I said, this date is going really well, I think. I don't know what you think, but I don't want to be a year and a half down the line and finally get to real topics that are like non-negotiables. So on our first date, I asked her X, Y, and Z, with one of them being like, I don't want kids. Do you want kids? And she's like, no. I was like, cool. And it was, another one, and we aligned. And I was like, because those were non-negotiables. It wasn't, oh, I like pineapple on pizza and you don't, so therefore we're done. It was big life decisions, because if a woman doesn't want kids and he does, she shouldn't have to sacrifice that for him. And vice versa. He shouldn't have to sacrifice that for her. It's just not, just move on, be done with it.
And be mature enough. Yeah. Be mature enough to walk away without bitterness, because everyone has the right to live the life that they want to lead.
Yes. I think there's one of my all-time favorite TV shows is a show called Californication. And it's David Duchovny back in the day. And I don't know if you've ever seen it. I remember that. Showtime.
I've never seen it, but I do remember when he was in that. Yeah.
And if you don't watch the show, or if you don't pay attention to it, because it's a very well-written show, you assume he's just a womanizer using guy and doesn't care about the woman he slept with. And he, in the show, multiple times throughout it, he talks about how, he slept with a lot of women, but he's always cared for and loved them. And not in that like excusing, oh yeah, of course I loved every woman I slept with, but like it's that overly romantic way where, and it's where I kind of came from. Every woman, he says, I've never slept with a woman I didn't love at least for a night.
Oh, damn.
And it's one of those things where you can have consensual one-night stands, have it be romantic, have it be wonderful, and still walk away the next day with both of you going, that was great, see ya wherever. You know what I'm saying? But the guys in the manosphere don't want that. They want to ruin the woman. They want to be done with it. I don't know if you're going to disagree with me on that.
I'm stuck. I'm like, huh? A romantic one-night stand?
Yeah.
Since we're gonna play this like late night, I don't know anything about one-night stands. So I don't know anything about one-night stands. So I'm confused. Like romantic one-night stand sounds odd to me. Like the irony of it all. I don't know how people do it. Shout out to all the people that can, because I just feel like I'm a gift. And not everyone gets to touch gifts. I'm sorry. I just don't feel like you get to. I don't know. I just don't see that.
See the best way to describe it in terms of the show and relating to the show is in season 6. One a hip hop artist turned actor, and I believe, he was in Gravediggers. RZA is in the show, and he talks about destroying that, on women's genitals. And David Duchovny's scared. Why would you want to destroy it? You want to savor it and enjoy it and leave it for the next man to enjoy. And it blew RZA's character's mind. I can't remember his character's name. And it blew his mind. And that's the thing. If you're hooking up and it's only for a night, it doesn't mean you can't have fun with it. And when you're single and you're not cheating and all that stuff, I'm not talking about extramarital stuff. But it doesn't mean that if you're hooking up with someone for a night, it has to be a wham, bam, thank you, ma'am moment. It can very much be something where you're sharing each other and doing these things and having an intimate moment that only lasts for the night. And then tomorrow you go back to being friends, or you go back to being strangers, or whatever it was you were. It's very Dave Matthews. It's very Dave Matthews.
Listen, I'm gonna have to go watch this show, and I'm glad that you brought up anybody from Wu-Tang. So I'm a big Wu-Tang girl.
Wu-Tang, I thought he was in Gravediggers.
I'm a big Wu-Tang girl for life over here. But I'm just gonna go. All I'm gonna say is when I'm processing stuff, and I'm like, I'm just gonna say, okay, because it's not my experience, and I'm not judging anybody who can do it. I just feel like intimacy, I personally can't have an intimate moment. All my intimate moments where I thought it was going to be like that have always been like long-term relationships. My husband, right?
And that's okay. that's okay. Not
Long-term
everybody
boyfriend.
needs to be. Not everybody needs to be able to be
Right.
that type of person. And that's the thing is like the society in general has become so one way or the other, A and Z,
Correct.
or black and white
Yeah.
being the colors. I'm not talking, you know, and they forget about all the shades of every color, not just gray in between, or all the
Right.
letters in between, or 1 in 100, and all the infinite numbers, including decimals, in between. And it's like, just because you're a man and you don't understand yourself doesn't mean you shouldn't understand yourself or only boil down to that one manosphere style thing. Or just because you can have one night stands doesn't mean that girl you want to hook up with who says she can't needs to do it just to experience the heartache of what it's like not to be called. That's an asshole thing to do.
Right.
And it's not hard to be nice and to not be an asshole, to be a better. It costs nothing to be kind. I say it every episode. It costs nothing to be kind, and it costs nothing to better yourself.
Right.
So I do have to wrap this up though, because of timing issues and stuff. But before we get down to the one question I always ask, I have a few things I want to say to you. You have been so much fun and are so intelligent. And oh my God, it's absolute pleasure. But for everybody listening, they need to buy this book. And you have other books they need to look into that we didn't even get to touch on. And I'm so sorry about that. We'll have you back so we can talk about every other book that you've written. Where can we find you? Give us your socials, give us your shout outs, give us your websites. Where can we buy your books as well?
All right. So the easiest is Kiddada Asmara Grey on Amazon, right? Just type in my name. All 5 of my books will pop up. Easiest way. On my socials now. Once again, I'm an old girl, so find me on Facebook first. Because guess what? My name is not Lisa. I'm easily found on Facebook. On Instagram, my middle name is Mara Transformed. That's my Instagram handle because my middle name is Butterfly. So butterfly twice. So transforming all the time. And then I do have another Facebook page, and I think it says author-Kiddada Grey, because my publisher made me get that one. And so you'll be like, why does she only have like 160 followers on that one? Because I have yet to curate that one. But if you find me on Kiddada Asmara Grey on Facebook, join me so I can get to my 10,000 follower mark, and come and enjoy the ride and the conversation. And also, if you, I am a podcaster. And if you look up The Conflict Whisperer, that is me. And I interview authors as well. And I interview fascinating people. And we talk about conflict, and we talk about resolution, and we talk about how to live life, not conflict free, but in a healthy way during your roughest times. And so, yeah, that's how you can find me.
And one piece of advice you could give to aspiring authors, if you had one piece to give.
Right.
Right.
Right. Like, put it on Post-it notes. Put your thoughts on Post-it notes. Write, because I don't care where you write, just write. It doesn't have to make sense. Just write. Just write. It's when you don't want to write. Cry when you don't want to write and cry.
No, that is beautiful.
Just do it all.
That is beautiful. I want to thank you again for being here. It has been a pleasure to talk about something so real and so prevalent today. Again, this episode is brought to you by Four Horsemen Publications. Check them out. Check out Kiddada's book, Red Flags, Exposing the Manosphere and Protecting Your Heart. But pick it up on Amazon. If it's as wonderful, if it's half as wonderful as this conversation, it's going to be twice as wonderful as anyone could expect it to be. So pick it up and do it. I think I said that right. Otherwise, I made it sound stupid. But I meant for it to be 4 times as wonderful as you think it could be, not a quarter. With that being said, thank you, everyone. And until next time, remember, it costs nothing to be kind. Kiddada, stick around. We'll be right back.
Thank you for listening to Drinking with Authors. Join us next time for another fun conversation with an author over drinks.